Welcome back to Unit 3, Microsoft Excel, the spreadsheet. We are going to be adding into this document that we just completed in part 1 a specific function. We want to put in a pie chart. To do this, we are going to have to select data. You use a pie chart whenever you're trying to show percentages. So in that case, it's usually when you're only trying to show one column of percentages. So the first thing we need to do is that we are going to select the products, and then I'm going to hold my control key down, and then I'm going to select the differences. So it will highlight both of them. I don't want to include the sum in there, so make sure you don't do that. And then I'm going to go to Insert, and underneath Charts, you're going to see an icon for a pie chart. We're going to click on that, and then you can add whatever pie chart you want. I'm going to do a 3D. I'm going to move it over to the side here. I'm going to click on the chart, and then in the right corner, I'm going to click on that plus sign, and I want to go to my data labels. And I'm going to go to more options. And on the right side, I'm going to deselect value and click on percentages and turn off the show leader lines. I'm going to exit out. And then now I have my chart. I can add a chart style by making sure my chart is selected, and I can come up here and choose a chart of my choosing. So now I have put in a pie chart that represents each one of my products' percentages. These types of charts are usually used when you want to have a visual or eye representation. Some people can see the percentage differences easier by looking at a chart. All charts must have a chart title. So we're going to call this percentage of product differences. And so now I have my chart. Now the next thing we're going to do is I'm going to go into another Excel document. And again, to actually set this up, you guys would know what to do with using your heading 1. Here, I'm probably going to use heading 3 since it is chart columns, all right? And I can adjust my row by bringing it up. All right, we are going to talk now about absolute cell references. When we were doing our pie chart, we were doing cell references that went right down. There was no skipping of cells. If you notice, we have B6 minus C6, B7 minus C7. They all go down. They're all relative to each other. When we do absolute cell references, there usually is a jump in cells. For example, if I wanted to figure the percentage of stock invested, I have 80 shares and there's total number of stocks available is 100. If I wanted to see that percentage, I would simply divide 80 by my 100. So to do that, I will click equal. Then I'm going to click on my 80, divide it by 100 or B3 and hit enter. Now when I run this down the column, you notice that I am getting some inconsistencies. So when I click here, I've got the right cell, B7 divided by B3, that's correct. But then notice it's B8 divided by B4, when in actuality, we want this to be C8 divided by B4. So the constant value is going to be our B3. So I'm going to go up and click on C7. This is my absolute cell reference. B3 is the cell that I'm going to use to divide each one of these stocks. So I'm going to have to hit, if I'm on a PC, I'll hit F4. Otherwise, I will type in a $ before the column letter and then also before the row number. So now I have $B, $3. I will hit enter. I'm going to change this to percentage by going up to my percentage icon. And then now I am going to take this down. And you notice I don't need that one. I went down too far. You notice now that I have percentages and I don't get that error mark anymore. And if I click on B7, it's dividing B7 by B3. B8 is being divided by B3, B9 by B3. So what you're going to have to watch out for is whenever you write formulas and you skip over cells, notice here I'm skipping over cells, then I always have to make sure that the one that stays constant is going to have $ in front of it. Again, on a PC, it's going to be F4, which is your function key. Otherwise, you type in the $. So now we're going to go over for percentage for January. We want to find what the percentage is of Campbell's soups based on its total. Notice that we're dividing $54.25 by 617. So we are jumping over all of these cells in order to get that percentage. So we have an absolute cell reference. So we're going to type in equals, click on E7. We're going to divide. So whenever you're trying to find percentages, you're dividing. We're going to click on the totals. And then again, you're going to hit F4, or you're going to type in the $ in front of the row column and the row letter. We're going to hit enter. I'm going to change that to percentages. And now when I run this down, since this is based on the total here, I should come up with 100%. So when I drive down here, I know I'm right if I have 100% here. And then I have to put in my bottom border. I'm going to do the same thing for February because I have, again, I'm jumping over cells. So I'm going to divide February's Campbell's soup by its total. I'm going to hit F4, or I'm going to type in my $, hit enter, change this to percentages, and then copy that down, and I should get 100% if I'm doing it correctly. I'm going to put in a bottom border. And then for March, I will do the same. I'm going to type equals, divided by 620. I'm going to put in my $, or I'm going to hit F4. I'm going to hit enter, change that to percentage, and then copy that down. I'm going to add in my bottom border. And so now I have my percentages all adding up to 100%. And again, don't forget the absolute cell. Whenever you're jumping over cells, for example, we're for calculating here, we are jumping over these cells. When we were calculating this total and dividing it by its total down here, we jumped over all of these cells. That means an absolute cell reference, which means you're going to hit F4. Now, let's say we're going to select each of these columns. I do that by holding the control key down. And let's say I want to do a comparison between these 3 months. There's several ways I can do this. I can go to my conditional formatting, click on that, and go down to data bars. And I can choose something that will compare. I can do scales as well. So whichever you prefer. And this will show a comparison in the months. Another comparison I can do, I'm going to type up here, compare 3 months. And I'm going to adjust this a little bit. I can use what you call spark lines. If I go to insert and then over underneath my spark lines ribbon, I click on my column. I will click on that up arrow and then I will select my 3 columns and hit enter and click OK. Oops, it's not going to like that. It doesn't like that at all. So let's try this. I guess we'll select them all. There we go. And then we'll hit enter. And it's showing a comparison. I can change the color and I can mark the highest point. And then, like before, I can use my fill handle to copy that data down. So we have learned how to put in conditional formatting, which you'll find underneath your home. We have learned how to put in, I better copy that formatting here. We have learned how to put in spark lines, which we'll find underneath the insert tab. We can do line or column. I can also do a bar or a chart. And I will do that by first selecting my products or my stock. And then we want to do, you're going to use a chart whenever you have more than one comparison. So I'm going to select my percentages. Notice I'm just holding the control key down and selecting. I'm going to go up to my insert tab, and underneath my column and bar, I can choose a column chart. There we go. And you notice that it is comparing, it's a little bit smaller. It is comparing all my products based on January, February, and March. Down here where it says series, this would be the names of my columns. So if I click on that, right click, go to form, let's see, select that, I think it is. Where it has series, I'm going to click on that, and right above it, I'm going to click edit, and I want that to be January %. I'll click OK. And then I'm going to click series 2, edit, and then click February %. Then I'm going to click series 3, edit, and put in my March. And then OK. So now I have everything selected. I'm going to add my chart title. I can say stock comparisons based on percent. I can change my chart title if I want. I can click right here and I can pick a different style of chart if I want. I can also change the chart style. There we go. So we have talked about absolute cell references. We've referred back to how you do a pie chart. We have talked about conditional formatting. We have talked about spark lines, and also when you use a chart. Now we can also make this into a table. To do that, we're going to select our column headings. Excuse me. So I'm going to A5 all the way down through J19. I'm going to go format as a table, and then I can select a table. I'm going to say make sure my table has headers. Click on that. And now I have changed all of this into a table style. I can change that color if I want. So I can adjust that style any way I want. Now, to show my formulas, I want to see what formulas I use for my percentages. If I do control and then the accent key, it will show my formulas. The accent key is found by doing control and then find the number 1 on your keyboard. And to the left, there is a key. You want the accent key, so it'll be control accent. To turn them off, you do the same thing and it will shut them off. We have talked about our major components or functions or skills for Microsoft Excel. Now it's time for you to explore. Thanks for watching.